So the very first round set to begin, and, well, all lined up and ready to go. It'll be an exciting day of matches here, Michael, and it's a pleasure to be able to share these with you. Of course, both of these teams qualified for the regional finals with a shot to then qualify for Reykjavik. These teams are obviously going to want to make it as deep as they can, joining the other 4 teams that have made it from challengers previously. Now, this is a very quick execute all the way in round number 1. Spike gets planted very early. Within about 30 seconds or so, we already find ourselves in a post plant.
And it's going to be a difficult one to retake here for NRG. Nice start off there, the action on Leaf's side. It's a back and forth contest, though. Japs is the last remaining, and he finds himself by A Link. Now, he has to retake, knowing there's some backside, there's some by mid. It's not an easy angle to play when you got that crossfire. Mitch challenging just to distract. There's the peek from Zeta. 3K for him in the round, and C9 Blue start things off good with round number 1.
Well, that was a relatively clean execute onto the B site. Walked in, they get the Omen smokes down, they cut off links, and then they just go for a plant right in the middle of the site. And C9 took control of the back, and then also watched these links. As you can see, Zeta rotating from C-Link over towards A, and Omen kept some of those smokes in his pocket as well to assist in that post plant. It's obviously going to help for the economy for C9 Blue, and NRG will have another round of misery here as they will have to stay on pistols. Sheriffs in hand, some running classics. As C9, well, they went with B before, but they want to set a good tempo. And it appears that A is the intended target, as they've stacked up in long, making a bunch of noise in the process. And smoke's going off as chaos will descend on the site. Breaking on in, that's Leaf with 2 big kills. Excellent from him. Poise as well, one to try to flush out any play that could come from the defender spawn. Daps will have the misfortune of retaking from above, but Leaf stops him in his tracks. Yet again, a second round in a row. The objective play is mighty strong, and Tex is in an almost hopeless position. He didn't really have his team for backup this time. In the previous round, NRG were in a tough spot. Beautiful shots from Tex! Oh my goodness! That Marshall, as he whittles away the remaining members from C9. Still 2 to go. He's now got a weapon in his hand as well. He's getting flushed out by the Sova, and it's a shock dart, not a gun. A shock dart to settle that one. As C9 Blue, excellent in their post plant.
Nice shutdown there from Zeta, but the economy damage done by Tex just now using the Sheriff is fantastic. It's exactly what you want to see. I was going to make note of the fact that Tex still had full utility. He's still going to be plenty evasive on that jet, and it was exactly what happened. He worked out great for him. C9 Blue maybe a little overzealous in shutting down the last player on NRG's lineup there for that round. I don't know if the full push there, 3, 1 at a time, was the right call. I mean, no, sorry, I do know it wasn't the right call, but, you know, hindsight's 2020. Use the boombot to go ahead and clear out garage, see what you're dealing with. Smoke in garage window as well. That's going to allow for a good entry here for C9 Blue, and they keep going fast in all of these rounds.
Oh, but NRG is prepped and ready for it. Tex in particular, watching garage and doesn't have much for C9 as they have 2 separate members go down. Tex goes for the triple and gets it on the floppy this time as they're going to continue to peek and apply pressure to C9 all the way back in C. They won't be able to get towards the site, but Mitch on the flank. He'll head through the defender spawn, leaving Zeta now to try and clutch out. Spike, not too close, not too far. Unfortunately for him, it's a long-range gun duel against Android that he ends up losing. NRG in that 3rd round, with finally having some economy on their side, they nail it, and they pick up their first round in this match.
First of all, I love what I'm seeing here from C9 Blue. The constant aggression has been really interesting. They're not giving a lot of pause to NRG to reset themselves. However, it didn't work out for them that round. Now we find ourselves with NRG in command of the economy on C9 Blue. They are going to try and force out this round because they really want to keep that momentum going. It looks like it's going to be another quick garage action, but this time as they push through grass, they are going to be walking for the most part. The slowest round we've seen from C9 so far, as they've been going awfully quick.
Now that there's utility on the side of NRG, they can contest this without having weapons in their hands, though Psalm Spectre does obviously help. The opening kill comes out for NRG, answered back by Mitch, as Tex's ult pop, now watching for Floppy, but can't hit the shots all the way on C. Site control is for C9, but NRG has some ideas about that, and amidst the smoke, Mitch will swing out 2 kills. He's watching intently. final member from NRG gets picked off. That's EU, as the plant was going down, but doesn't make it in time. You don't need objective play if you're killing everybody on the opposing side. Tex in particular has been mighty strong for NRG through these rounds, and they're going to need a little bit more depth. Still plenty of time for that, as C9 finds themselves up 3-1.
One of the biggest problems there for NRG, at least in my opinion, through that round, is that their retake, it was entirely through defender spawn. They didn't try at all to retake through garage. They aren't trying to retake through mid, which is fine. I mean, C9 Blue did have flank watch on both of those positions, but those are your weak points where you can maybe buckle one of those flank watchers and then open up an opportunity of man advantage. NRG didn't take any of those fights. They just tried to funnel back into sight and were mowed down by C9 Blue.
Excellent shot by Android. Tried to get flashed out by the Reyna, and he loses some HP in the process. Quickly healed back, though that armor won't return, giving an advantage to NRG and potentially cutting off the legs of C9's push. That's also the spike dropped by the attacker spawn and will need to be retrieved, but it could be a brawl in mid, as C9 foregoing the objective, watching and waiting for the Omen smoke to clear, staring directly into the center of the B site. You might get flushed out now as Zeta tries a shock dart and a spray through the door. It's a common spot, but the patience now from the Sova on NRG is working out. NRG not overextending, waiting patiently as they don't know where C9 is going to execute towards, and C9 now finally seems to know where they're going to go as they have the spike.
The consistent C-side pushing from C9 Blue has allowed for a little bit of a freer side on A. Daps is left to lone hold that. It's going to be the entry here from Hunter's Fury as Zeta tries to lay down the pressure in C and gather the information necessary to get the execution. But NRG, despite not having the full buy, are still winning in their gunfights. Only 20 seconds left for C9 to execute, and the run it back is going to net a kill. Zeta now alone, and he's got 5 HP. There's not a lot of hope for him in this round, but nice use of the recon dart, and he will get Som through the smoke. 10 seconds left. He doesn't have a lot of options. He'll push through, and Zeta does not have the shot necessary to take out Daps.
Hard stock inside of the smoke on C that will linger for eternity. And you saw that there was only, I think, 6 seconds, 7 seconds left when that final kill came in. Virtually impossible for Zeta to be able to get to the site and plant the spike as well. So he was going for kills just to try to disrupt whatever money advantage energy might have emerging from that round. Honestly, C9 got holed up very quickly and stuck inside of the B area over by Green and over by Window, as it appeared that the 3 players from C9 were going to tackle B without realizing that they had access to the spike. NRG was very quick to react to that and get over to C and prevent C9 from taking any of that site control.
Now NRG with a decided advantage here in terms of economy. Som on top of the boxes inside a garage. Good early pick. Leaf goes down once again. He has been the first casualty in any of these rounds for C9 Blue. Now, the Lear will go in, but no follow-up. Boys just trying to distract, and it's a rotation over to A. Now, they're going to have to deal with the Daps Cypher setup on A side. Lots of trips over by Long. This is not going to be an easy push for C9 Blue, but at least they haven't given themselves away yet.
They smoke off Heaven, so the Cypher will have to be pushed off of his spot. Daps, though, through that smoke, still nets 1. He's immune to any tracking that might go on. No intel for C9. Finally, one on the side of NRG as Daps collects his 2nd kill from above. Floppy trades off EU down below. The Sova's being involved in a ton of action now as Zeta falls, and the spike also dropped in the middle of the site. That's cleanup from NRG, who've now equalized this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough. You're C9 Blue, you're on, half economy, just trying to force your way out with some sheriffs, I guess. And you're running into the trap wire set down by Daps. There were 2 of them on long entry. That was not an easy push, and there's no way C9 Blue could have known that. Great use of those trap wires from Daps to also shoot through the smokes. You got to expect that. If you're going to be playing Heaven, the Omen's going to get you there. So he played his part well and locked up that push in its entirety. Oh, you expect that whole result given the way the economy is shaped up. Now, with full teams able to full buy, Tex has brought an operator. No operator on C9 Blue's side. Of course, they're not even running the jet, and they're on attack for Haven, so this is not necessarily an expected buy.
Oh. It's the jet sitting on A as all of C9 now have made it a couple steps out of the spawn, potentially itching for a quick push over towards C once they've determined that B is free and clear. They don't have a lot of intel to work with on C9's side. They've been throwing out Reyna's Leer in hopes of catching somebody from NRG, either in terms of frag potential or just simply to see if they'll shoot it. Obviously, that's information that you can use on your disposal, at your disposal. What looked like it might have been setting up for a C or even a B take now, as Zeta droning out A. And he is all on his own at the moment, with the Cypher actually not too far off in A short. Jet will try to hold against this as NRG's rotation comes in.
Yeah, and they've over-rotated at this point, Parker, because it's a garage push, in fact, from C9 Blue. Nice fake out using the Sova drone, Owl drone, to try and gather information on A. And then now C Control comes out. And it's all on Leaf to hold that position. But he's going to get taken down by the Hunter's Fury from EU.
Spike in hand, Michael, and a successful plant, as Poise is holding a tight angle, waiting for somebody to just peek their head out. And there will be 4 of them. Good trigger discipline will be here. He loses the heads-up gun duel to Android. Floppy has his teammates back, though, and it's revenge. A dish best served cold. Every single member of NRG tries to peek the same angle. Dry, no utility at their disposal. And C9 punishes them for it one by one by one by one.
I think it was that Owl drone coming through short on A that really forced the rotate for NRG. It's pretty obvious that you're going to see some follow-up to that on the execute. And when they heard the drone, which you can hear very easily, especially by B site, when you hear that drone coming through short, you're going to want to try and deny the push. But yeah, it wasn't the right call. So great use there from Zeta to try and force the rotate. Garage take ended up being pretty much free. And despite the fact that we did see some trades go back on C, easy control for C9 Blue.
Well, I don't know if we're going to have another split take here or not, as the Cypher gets his footing under him, and it made some noise, but setting up a flank to ensure that nobody's coming from C or from B as well. The spike in hand towards A short as C9 look to overrun the site. They'll do just that. Smoke's cutting off any take from the defense over on the spawn side. Daps also isolated above in heaven, as you can tell the frustration from NRG, at least to take back the site right now. Everybody is still alive in the server at the moment, and the spike is down 2. NRG from above, well, they're going to have to contend with a couple C9 sites aimed in their direction. X will just burst out of the window, and he gets taken down as C9 catch most members of NRG, but it's back and forth as the teams exchange blows. Android trying, oh, and a beautiful shot, but just misses his second. Unfortunately for C9, EU doesn't. Floppy clutches up with the spike down, and the hopes and dreams of NRG in that round are dashed.
A beautiful 1v1 played there by Floppy. And Android's flank was going to be the X factor for NRG that round. You saw him set up for it pretty early in the round. The big problem on NRG's side was that heaven pressure wasn't as much as they had hoped for. Also, pushing the jet in a little too early there, and because of that, no effect from that jet. Not able to actually get any kills. Definitely a big problem for Tex, who is one of those performers we need to be keeping an eye on for NRG. He and Daps really were the top performers in the last 2 play days for this team, so he's got to have a better performance entering out of heaven in that situation.
Well, it's a full execute towards C right now as Som tries to hold them back, but he's unsuccessful outside of Poise is falling. Now C9 has control of the site as much as they want. EU tries to swing in, can't accomplish all that much. Long range, it's Floppy to stop him. But it was ultimately just a bait. C9 clears out the C site before turning their eyes towards another target. Daps is prepared and ready for that. Might catch another as he does. On to Leaf, beautifully done. And he'll get the location of both Floppy and Zeta. It'll be just momentary, but it's enough to suss out where exactly they're going to be. Daps will need to clutch out, but he misses his shot onto Zeta. Ultimately, that first burst of action by C9 to dislodge the players from NRG on the C site proves to be too much for the remaining members of NRG to overcome.
Ah, man, that could have been such a different round there. We saw the player on C for NRG just peek out wide, give himself away, and that right there, that was what solidified the round, because C9 Blue actually went for a fake out on C. They wanted to rotate, and they almost got caught in the net that NRG's mid and flank from A managed to set up. However, there wasn't enough manpower on NRG at that point, so yeah, despite a nice try there, this was not enough. Sheriff's being played by Short. Dap trying to hold on to this, but he's got to deal with the ult from Leaf, and that's just about the easiest showstopper you're going to see.
Yeah, will it actually stop the show? That's the real question, because Tex answers back with an ult of his own. Good enough for 1 kill. Poise on this Reyna, not the most successful in her duels, but good news for you. You've got Leaf on top of the boxes, raining Hellfire down. Leaf just needs a single more kill. How about that? It's an ace for Leaf as C9 now up 7-3.
C9 Blue starting to really rack these rounds together, and they're looking great on the executes. Now, of course, that was a bit of a forced round, or a little bit of a save, really, for NRG, so you can't really expect too much. Tex did get a kill with the knives. That's fantastic use there to damage the economy, but that's just about all that really happened and went the way of NRG. The explicit nature of the executes here from C9 Blue, the way that they're not stopping when they put their foot on the gas, is definitely working to their advantage. And they've got some good fake outs as well. They seem to be in the minds of NRG right now because NRG just cannot catch a break in their rotations or positioning.
So Zeta will see if he can clear the path over towards C. Android gets a little bit aggressive and it works out. Once again, Poise, not exactly the strongest in these opening engagements. An operator like Reyna doesn't provide a ton of utility to your team if she's not capable of fragging and, most importantly, fragging well. Depth on C9 is totally fine, though, as they pick up a double kill, and as well, NRG nets 2 of their own. NRG with the upper hand. There's been 30 seconds of actual engagement so far in this round. Mitch will look to try to lock out the site from above, getting some intel up towards heaven. He'll now move to hell as it's an equal 2v2. Spike going down, but Mitch falls off as Zeta falls, and Mitch will now need to take matters into his own hands. And they're a good set of hands. Mitch takes care of EU. No spike required. C9 Blue making very fast work of this first half.
I love the paranoia there into hell from NRG. Som, great use of his utility there, but at the same time, it just wasn't enough because you've got Mitch in a position to clutch it up. Now, we haven't seen Poise performing quite the way we saw him perform in yesterday's play or the day before, for that matter. He has been, through the last 2 days of this tournament, the standout performer for C9 Blue. So the fact that he right now sits at the bottom of the scoreboard means that there's still more potential in C9 Blue's tank. And I think, to me, that tells a story that NRG are a lot further down than they look right now.
Against Anbox on that Reyna roll, he went an impressive plus 22, very narrowly, or at least coming very close to 50 kills, just narrowly missing out on it. And as I noted in the previous round, Reyna is an inherently selfish agent, and if you're not able to do anything with her in terms of duels, then the rest of your kit isn't particularly helping the team the same way that you might see from a Cypher or an Omen or an Astra.
Just some information check there from Som. He wanted to see if the push was in fact going to be by C, and he has detected that it is in fact not. So he can call the rotate, and it's going to be a hard A execution here for C9 Blue.
And there's the Reyna's Lear coming in to try and blind out the site. Once again, Poise falls early. So does Mitch. He'll join him as C9 are able to answer back. Android's run it back expires as C9 have control of A. A shock dart will go in to try and push Zeta out of his position, but he's very safe in the corner, at least until the fire lands at his feet. Watch your flank, because Tex is on the way, and he finds Zeta quite easily. He's got the Sheriff in hand, and another for him too. Impressive stuff, and all 3 as he just shakes them out of the site and gets the spike too. Impressive stuff from Tex on that flank roll. I would also like to note, by the way, that duelists being selfish, not just unique to Reyna. For anybody that says, well, in Terrell, what about Jet? What about Phoenix? If they're not fragging, then they're not providing the most utility for their team either. I'm aware.
And, well, I mean, in that round, it certainly was Tex who was fragging out. So great job to Tex. His ability to flank up short, I'm surprised that nobody from C9 was aware of that, because we did actually see Android attempt to flank through short the last time C9 Blue executed onto A. And it seemed like C9 Blue was more ready for it that time. Not so much there. Big round for NRG. They definitely needed that one. So props to Tex for taking it. Now we see the half swap here, and we're going to have NRG starting on attack. They are already setting up for a C execution, but C9 Blue looks ready for this as they've stacked 3 players on C site. And yeah, there's the jump check from Leaf. He's going to be calling that out to his team.
And we know that they're going to be coming in this direction. The very first kill comes to Poise. He needs to start making some noise on that scoreboard, and his entry, or rather, it's technically a defense for him, but the opening kill regardless. breaks in his favor. Daps and Floppy in a gun duel over by Garage, and down goes Daps. He turns and he tries to focus right as the smoke disappears, and Leaf has his number quite well. First death in this half for C9 is Mitch. Cypher falling over by A, and very quickly, C9 Blue are going to need to rush to the A site, as NRG are just moments away. They've got the spike, but here comes the cavalry. Android getting that spike down successfully as a Paranoia flies out from the defender spawns, and will target prioritization from up in heaven of Zeta. This could be a little bit more precise. Doing his best Tex impression. There's Leaf on the flank. Android good enough for one, but every single member of NRG is punished for it. And of course, like we always see on Haven, this post plant is so crucial for the defenders on their retake, and C9 doesn't sweat too much taking the pistol round.
So just about the only thing that could have gone better for C9 Blue in that round was would be Mitch winning a battle, just trading himself out as he pushed up through long A. If he was able to trade himself out, then it would have been a lot more one-sided. But other than that, nearly flawless round for C9 Blue. They read the C execute early. They knew to expect that. Then when the rotate came out for NRG, they were ready for it because Mitch was pushed up by long A, and they were able to read the rotation. So even though Mitch didn't win his fight, he still at least gave the info that was necessary for his team to retake the site. And again, that short flank on A, so powerful, this time executed by Leaf. Doesn't really matter who's doing it, it seems, as long as you can win your heads-up fights.
Some spam over towards window now as Poised gets flashed out, but for a second, and oh my goodness, it's Leaf mowing them down. C9 finds themselves in an excellent spot with Psalm as the last hope for NRG. And it's only a couple rounds away from a potential map one in the books in favor of Cloud9 Blue.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting round there for Cloud9 Blue. Opting to bring the Ares, two of them, in fact, I believe. Interesting decision-making. Yeah, on Zeta and Mitch, we've got them right now. And I mean, I like it. We've seen the Ares used instead of the Spectre before. I guess you could say better at long range, better penetration, but like overall, really, you're not too worried about it. Either way, you can use the Spectre, you can use the Ares. It's really not that big of a deal, whatever you decide to pick. It's working out for C9 on defense here for Haven. What isn't working out for C9 is Tex's shots. Look at that. Beautiful shot onto Leaf. And they're also going to get Floppy. So this looks like a good round for NRG.
Poised in his position over by A-Long. He's tucked into the corner. He won't last too long. But the remaining members of C9 trying to get their licks in. In the midst of the smoke, Tex is up top, but Zeta's firing away. Doesn't matter. You can trade out as much as you want when the numbers favor your opponents. If you get traded out, eventually you'll be whittled down to nothing, while they'll still have at least one standing. A big 4K from Tex in that round as he was integral at making space over towards A on that very first shot. And then with the rest of his team in tow, they just swept C9 Blue off the site.
And that was just lethal from Tex. And you'd think that Poise is going to try and get away with his dismiss, but he didn't even have a chance. Tex is too fast. And you can see that reflected in the scoreboard as well. Now that NRG are starting to get some of these attack rounds, they're looking a lot more potent. Their presence definitely going to be good for this round, as they're able to full buy on the side of C9 Blue, Sheriffs and a Spectre. I mean, you can make something happen with that, especially if Zeta gets kills like these, but he's missing his shots, and that's unfortunate. Could have gone a little bit better. Some damage done, though, and that does mean something.
There's the very first pick. Damage done, sure, but you've still got a weapon in your hand. You've still got utility in your pocket to work with. And Psalm obviously has an opportunity now to try and cause some disruption with that paranoia. The first member of NRG will drop, but that's fine for them because the rest of C9 seem to be falling too. Leaf's showstopper comes out and he nets a kill with it, but he knows that he has a tall task ahead of him. He's just going to continue to run on only 11 HP. I don't know what he's going to be able to do here. Spike obviously down on A as NRG are going to hunt for kills. Leaf could potentially attempt to save. They're only 3 rounds away from an outright victory, and you don't want to give too much momentum to NRG.
He's going to try, and he's done a good job actually of evading NRG's hunters. Now, so far, I mean, NRG's attack onto A, their abilities to plant there, it looked really solid. Most of that, I think, came down to the pressure that we saw Tex apply to a Link. That cut off the rotation from C9 when they came from mid. I like the aggression from C9 in mid. I like that they're trying to take that half buy round or the pseudo save round, really, and try and throw something at the board, see if it sticks. It didn't that round, but, you know, at least you got a pick. So that is something for C9 Blue. Now they'll go ahead and buy up this round. They're back in. Action can start up, and we can see if they're actually capable of taking a win on defense here.
Full buys across the board, and what could potentially be a pivotal round for this actual matchup. NRG wins here. They'll have momentum. They'll have a very sizable advantage when it comes to money, and they'll be able to potentially snowball that for another 2 rounds. If all that goes according to plan, and you speculate as much, those 3 rounds would put us at a 10-9 score, which means that C9's massive lead that they ended that first half with has completely evaporated. Some scouting work from Android now as we see some scouting work from Zeta. Both teams back and forth trying to gather as much intel as they can. And it's Android to net the very first kill. Spike goes down too, so a post plant at the moment for Cloud9 Blue. We'll see what they can do with it. As the Omen just dodges very slightly. Saw managing to get away from that one, and Zeta will have to go through the flames to try and engage, but so far, perfect on the post plan. And Android in particular, setting up a lot of these kills. Daps credited with the final one. And NRG do indeed take the round, only sacrificing Tex in the process.
I love that blaze from Android, cutting off the rotation through Garage. And we also saw aggression from NRG before they even played that post plant. They're also trying to control C-Link. They're trying to control defender spawn rotate. They've got it all on lock. And NRG managed to get man advantage before they even rested on their utility laurels. I absolutely love to see the way that they commanded that, not giving an opportunity for C9 Blue to retake, cutting them off before they could. Now it's going to be a hard A execute, no question about it. There goes the recon dart, and long clear, waiting for a potential retake. But C9 Blue has already called the rotation, and you can see they're playing A very passively. They're not going to go for any close contact.
This is a quiet take amidst the smoke as Android looked and prepped and ready. Those curveballs, good enough potentially for a single kill. Poise turns his back to Android, but a paranoia is perfectly timed. Doesn't matter though, Som is there for 2. Leaf is going absolutely massive before EU shuts down the rest of the team. Mitch, goodness gracious. They know where you are. You can hear it yourself. You're spotted. 1v2, frenzy in hand. Spike for NRG. We talked about how this economy could work against Cloud9 Blue, and it seems to be doing just that. He's been spotted, and Mitch's return to the site has essentially been thwarted at this point. Still trying to gain intel as much as possible, knowing that the clock is working against him. Small jiggle peek as the cam gives his position away. Ooh, he's got a weapon in hand, though. He's looking to clean up with this Spectre. One's to his right. He's going to need to swing properly. He provokes one to the left. Doesn't see EU sitting and waiting on the right as the spike ticked ever closer to going off. And it's yet another round for NRG, who, with very quick tempo, have closed this game.
Graffiti's such a hard corner to clear when you're going for that retake from defender spawn. Leaf, though, such a valiant effort, and he's definitely going to hurt the economy of NRG, who are starting to build up a lot of steam on this attacking side of Haven. So there seems to be much more of a match here, Parker, than we were expecting, at least based off the first half. And NRG this round, full buy versus full buy. Light utility on Mitch's side, but he's probably got it all. Actually, no, sorry, excuse me, not light utility. He's got it all lined up already. It's going to be off the Owl drone. The NRG start peeking down long C, and this has already been called out. You can see the fast rotate and the aggression through grass on C9 Blue side.
And Mitch overwhelmed, but for the moment, that spike control too, by the way, as the jet Tex bursts on in. Android is good enough to refrag with Poison Mitch in on the fun. Advantage favoring Cloud9 Blue, who need to stop the bleeding as they have given up a lot of rounds. And that lead that they had built up slowly ticked away. That aim from Leaf now as Android and Daps put Floppy into a 1v2 that becomes a 1v1. Floppy still has utility available. Paranoia, but he gets swung on. Oh my goodness gracious, Daps, goodbye. And C9 Blue finally are able to get 1 round over the last 3.
Absolutely love the use of that dark cover by Floppy. Beautiful stuff. He faked it out and allowed for his peek. I also really want to quickly commend Mitch's play using his cage on backside. That gave a lot of maneuverability and allowed him to peek more angles than you would otherwise be capable of doing. It's essentially establishing more cover, but still having those gaps necessary to take the fights that you want to hold. And because there was such an aggressive push from NRG, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. C9 Blue, as you say, Parker, stop the bleeding and put themselves in a much better position, especially in terms of economy.
Well, the smoke is going to answer back the ulti pulled out from Tex as NRG have been stopped towards their A push. They've still got 2 players looking over towards Garage. Nice pop-up by Tex, but it's countered beautifully by Leaf. And now Android will try to hold mid as best as he can, assuming that somebody's playing inside a Garage. And he would be correct, though there isn't much intel on his side. Saw him now creeping up. He'll pre-fire on in. Nobody being connected. And there we go. A smoke blocking line of sight added to yet another. So there will be some coverage, at least for a prolonged period of time. Saw him repositioning twice with those shrouded steps, and up top he goes, watching A-Link. As at some point, this spike is going to need to be planted. It was by the way, it was back at attacker spawn. So finally coming to the party will be Daps.
Well, Som, great position to hold this push in here from C-Link. It's going to be the ult here from Poise as he tries to get advantage with that Empress. Push out on A-Link side to try and 2v1 Floppy, and it works out for NRG. Now it's just Poise. He's got the Empress pop, so this is not inconceivable. 2 to fight on A-Link, and there's the flash, the curveball, but it doesn't work for Android. The ult to check, see what's going on with the spike. Som now has that information. EU is on 18 HP, but it doesn't matter, as Som will swing and land the shot. His awareness through this match has been impeccable, and he read that round perfectly.
Well, an exceptionally attacker-sided Haven is unfolding in front of our very eyes. No shocker there. And NRG are just simply pushing the ball downhill at this point. It's Cloud9 Blue who are at the major disadvantage. And with NRG closing that gap as they are, only one quick glance at the money situation goes to show a bleak picture for Cloud9 Blue. Winning that previous round drew them closer, but that last round could have just crushed them, essentially, as NRG now have a massive advantage heading in to round 21.
You do have some Sheriffs, so you got to be aware of that. And Zeta is going to be able to bring a Vandal. Mitch might be able to make something work here. Let's see if he can do it with the shorty. No, it's not happening. Shots miss, and he will be taken down by Android. On the entry, NRG look absolutely flawless. They have lost EU, though, to Zeta. That's the one rifle, and that rifle is gone. Leaf will use his showstopper to good effect, killing a player, backside and C, but still an advantage for NRG in the man count as we head into the post plant.
Oh. Floppy and Leaf have no intel, no utility either for Leaf. It's essentially just the Sheriff. That's it for him. And I mean, he's been mighty fine on hitting his shots so far. Has put in an extraordinary performance in previous rounds, but this is going to be tough for him. Good enough to take out Daps, by the way. Tex falls now too. Floppy and Som in a 1v1. Floppy prevailed in the heads-up duel on C before, but he looks to the left expecting Som to be there, and he picks the wrong area. We call that one the Kansas City Shuffle. It's when you look left and they go right. NRG now within one round of tying this map up.
And they're looking really good on this start to the comeback. It's not quite there yet. Full buy for the most part. We do see Zeta actually not able to, unfortunately, get a rifle here. But he'll be fine, I'm sure. Overall, C9 Blue can push this one to match point. They're just going to have to be aware of this very aggressive push on the A side. And it looks like they actually are. You see the aggression there for Cloud9 Blue. They've already taken long A. And that dark cover there from Floppy is going to deny the push out into connector.
Well, an Owl is used as Floppy all the way down below in sewers. He's making a mess. EU answers back, and Android too, as this defense from C9 crumbles in front of our eyes. Zeta will have to push back as quickly as he can, and he'll hold control with an Ares from above. Smoked off, though, so any real intel that he'll have will have to come from a single recon bolt. He does get an idea of where the attack might be coming from, but this NRG stack-up could just potentially overwhelm Cloud9 Blue, especially since Mitch is now on the flank. He finds Som. One spike down. Android is his next target, but Android's a better shot, and so is EU. As Zeta, the last member for Cloud9, has no opportunity whatsoever. We have a tie game now between these squads.
Yes, sir. Now, that was a pretty interesting round. We saw Cloud9 Blue get aggressive on long A. They said the best defense is a good offense, and they might be right about that, but the offense there was not good, as it was shut down in its entirety. That left the last remaining players from C9, Zeta, and Mitch to try and clutch it up, and they almost managed that. Fortunately, right here, that's the final nail in the coffin. It's so hard to retake onto A from a heaven. It's just, if you're not playing Jet, you don't have a lot of vertical play there, and no matter who you are, and yeah, it's difficult to make that fight go your way.
Well, very quickly, Tex takes control of the front of B, and all remaining members of C9 Blue, all 5 of them, well, they're nowhere close to being able to get on in. They're going to try to find some intel with Zeta quarterbacking that. His ultimate used, but Tex doesn't need any utility himself. Just as he got in, he'll get out and find 2 kills in the process. The only member for NRG who's down is Android at this point. Leaf has been absolutely deadly with this Sheriff. And he'll continue that, but it's a Sheriff of Zeta to get the kill. A 3v3, lots of noise being made from Leaf as he tries to get into the A site. Attention is drawn his way. The ult goes over his shoulder, so they don't get the information that EU had hoped for. Leaf is still close to being able to take this one back. He starts with one onto EU. Spike gets planted. Information, and Leaf is so good on this site. C9 Blue have not exactly had the greatest defense, but it looks like they finally be getting their footing. Som has something to say about that, though. And he's going to disappear in front of our very eyes. Intel, but no, the spike gets diffused by Leaf, and it's match point for Cloud9 Blue.
And you all saw the little bit of hesitation there from Som. He was waiting for the sound cue, but he was one step behind. Leaf was already on the defusal. Such a nice try there for Som, almost bringing it back, but he just waited a little too long to try and gather information in that situation. So Cloud9 Blue, like I said, at this point, they're in a great position now. They definitely have been looking strong. I love the way they played that round, especially around the dance that we saw in the rotations. NRG rotated for that long A, but they left Som on the lurk, and it didn't work out very well for Som because his whole team died before he could get into the action.
Well, C9 are expecting an A take. That's where 3 of these agents are, and unfortunately for them, one of the 2 who were off-site are not going to be particularly helpful now, as Mitch is down for the count. Tex creeps around the back, waiting. Good trigger discipline, technically, as he punishes Zeta, and the advantage now continues to grow in NRG's favor. Overtime on the docket. EU is lined up and ready, and that's a pretty simple shot on a Poise whose awareness is severely lacking. How about this? A flawless round, Michael, to push us into overtime, as both teams will not go quietly into the good night.
Yes, sir, Parker. Now, a lot of that, well, no, really, most of that, to me, comes down to Texas flank over by C. That's a sign of negligence on the side of C9 Blue. Their inability to watch all the lanes, control the situation on defense has been a big problem for them. They're going to have to confront that moving forward. Now, as we go into overtime, it is going to be a side switch. NRG back on defense, C9 Blue back on attack. This has been a very attacker-sided Haven, so they're going to have to consider that with the way they play these rounds. Spike's currently down. It'll need to be picked up by C9 Blue before they go for that execution, of course. Just considering where they want to go, it looks like they're setting up for an A execute, and I can't blame them. C9 Blue's A's have been really good so far.
That recon dart lined up with Tex, operator in hand, keeping a very close eye on a potential A take. Now he's looking A long, but it's the sewers and short where it will go. The drone just goes underneath Som, but C9 burst into action, and 2 huge kills for them to push NRG off of their spots. It's the Rays just flying on in as Leaf finds his kill. Finally, NRG's able to get onto the board. Tex gets 2, but it puts Daps in a 1v3 situation. He'll head up top. He hears the spike going down. Information is in his favor in terms of that, but he doesn't know the positioning of the remaining members of C9. Mitch gets some intel, and the gunfire from Daps, well, lets C9 Blue know that he's up top. He doesn't have a ton of time to work with here. This is do or die. You don't really have room for error. Daps will check corners as he tries to get back in. Most plants are something that you need to excel in, but usually you have a couple friends by your side. In this case, Daps does not, and he's in the middle of a cage. Trapped, gunfire going all around him. Almost past the point of no return. Zeta's the one to finish it. Daps goes down. An impressive round by C9.
Love what we saw there from C9. Now, they have conditioned NRG to expect a rotation when an Owl drone goes down short A, and that's not what happened. Zeta threw his Owl drone down short A, and also, crucially, C9 Blue, as we all saw, did not push long A. The reason they didn't do that is because you do, of course, have Tex operating there, and that's going to be difficult to push into, but also because if you're not pushing long A, the NRG defender at long A calls that it's clear, and NRG is still expecting a rotation through that entire round thanks to the conditioning. C9 Blue, excellent play on the mind games, allowing them a pretty much free entry into A because the rotation was so late from NRG.
A paranoia comes out pretty early now from the Omens, falling back on C9 as Floppy doesn't want to engage this. The Owl goes out and all of NRG have control of this A site. Smoke's going off towards the connector as well as Heaven, and Daps is watching flank. Down goes Leaf. He's the top performer for C9 Blue. Daps trying to gain intel with the cage, but NRG are able to just box this one out masterfully. Spike is down 2. So what is match point for Cloud9 Blue might end up going up in smoke. 1 HP in a dream, doesn't matter. Daps, beautifully well played as Tex gets 1 too. And could we see yet another flawless round? We can, and we do. In fact, it's Android to just put the dagger in the heart of Zeta and send us in round 27.
So very different round, same site, different teams, obviously on different sides. It's what you expect. But most of that, the triple flank from C9, absolutely demolished by Daps. Beautiful play on the flank, and he made it out of those 2 engagements with 1 HP. Oh boy. That is super unfortunate for C9 Blue, but honestly, I don't know if that fight going a different way would have changed the outcome of the round. The forced flank there did not work out, and it looks like we're going to see yet another A execute? This seems to be the standard for both teams now in overtime.
Very much in favor. Out goes the Lear as well as the Recon Dart, both of which giving C9 Blue a heads up that somebody from NRG was playing towards the back of A long. And C9 will continue to take up ground as quickly as they can. Leaf spotted down in sewers as the drone shot out in front of him. NRG are not quick to rotate yet, as it's common for these teams to fall off after they've got information. And that's exactly what C9 are going to do. They wanted A, they're not going to be able to get it. They've decided that their effort and energy is expended elsewhere. Or is it?
Wait. It might be going back, and it looks like, yeah, it's a double fake out. There's still Mitch lurking by long C, though. His job might be just to make noise, and that's exactly what he's going to do with the cage. Now, as you can see, NRG are not budging just yet. Centered around mostly garage. They're expecting the C execute, and they're like, okay, if it's going to be C, then let it be C, and we'll retake. But it's not going to be C. It's, in fact, A, and C9's fake out has worked out perfectly. Mitch on the lurk, not going to be able to do anything, but it doesn't really matter, because it's site control now for C9 Blue.
Android as well as the Omen of Psalm right next to him. Tex will take up top. Critical round, obviously, for both of these teams. Can't get higher stakes than this. 9 players still alive. As NRG are going to try to make this one quick. Paranoia goes out. Doesn't catch anything. Tex goes down. Poise immediately traded out by Android. Curveball goes in. It'll flash hell. And there's a huge stack up from C9 there. Floppy holding it down. Through the wall. Guns them to pieces. Daps now in a 1v2, but he looks the wrong way, and that's Zeta to finish him off.
That is really unfortunate for NRG, and once again, I have to put a finger at Tex. This is really odd. I'm not sure if it's deliberate. Or what exactly is going on, but Tex, when retaking on A, is always, as the Jet, just rushing way too fast out of heaven before the rest of his team is in a position to actually entry. So he doesn't accomplish much of anything on the dash other than maybe a brief distraction, but that distraction is not long enough given the timing of the push for his team to capitalize upon it. And that's really unfortunate too, as Tex is also the top performer for his team. Now, this is going to be a tactical timeout for C9. They're going to see what they can manage here. If they can lock this out, they want one more round. And so this is about the right time, I would say, to take a tactical.
At what point are we just going to see the defenders finally bulk up and win? That's a question that I have to ask, by the way.
Yeah.
Not uncommon, no matter what game you play, by the way, as I'm sure there are lots of people here who are watching who don't just exclusively play Valorant. Very common for a lot of maps to tilt in one direction or another, depending on as well the game you play, whether there are app bans, whether there are agent bans, whether there are weapon bans, etc. That can obviously impact it as well. And right now, the pace that both teams have set on attack has worked out quite well, saving a lot of that utility for the post. But C9, and Poise in particular, gets the lead-off kill on defense. That's something that you absolutely need.
Parker, that is the difference maker right there. We've seen that the attack has been winning dominantly so far through this map, and yeah, hey, I mean, if attack is working, then get offensive on defense. That's exactly what we saw there from Poise, and he was the perfect kit to get out of there with his dismiss.
Additionally, it's Tex to go down. The Jet cannot burst into the site, exhibiting influence, being able to cut off rotations with those smokes, but for a brief angle, and of course do some significant damage in the process. NRG realizing that C9 are not holding B, so they will take advantage of that, and Som gets the spike down as C9 will need to rotate and do their best in the post. Mitch is closest to NRG, but he's all on his own. Smokes go out. A leer from Poise and a cage triggered as Poise tries to get back in. There's another leer, by the way, this time as nobody is inside of B. This is as confusing as it can get for both of these teams. Android is primed and ready. Excellent patience on his part. Saw him traded out. And C9 collect the kill feed, but for now, it's NRG to get back. Sloppy gun duels on both sides of the equation. It puts DAP in a 1v2 as the spike is being diffused. He's working against the clock, nailing Zeta, but it's Poised to get off and get the kill and also get the spike. Excellent play, and the first map breaks for Cloud9 Blue. That's the record for Icebox for NRG if you just look at the last month. So it'll be fun to see exactly how they play it out.
Yeah, but of course, you know, you gotta expect that they've got something. And I'm curious to see what that thing might be for NRG as they start on the attacking side here, executing into A. They do have actually the spike lurking with Tex B side, but he's now dropped it from the aggression that C9 will bring out on B main. That aggression now getting spiked down and positional advantage. It's a forced rotate from NRG.
Utilities being used all the way over in the attacker spawn now. Android will have to wait it out, and Som creeps up tube. And he's about to head into Kitchen Frenzy in hand. There's that pick from Leaf, by the way. That's his second so far. I think that goes to good use to down EU. And unfortunately for NRG, they are just getting picked off in separate events here and there. Leaf has another member of NRG lined up and manages to do a ton of damage in the process, as they are just going to hang on for now. 40 seconds still left in this round, and it's been a relatively slow pistol start.
Oh, nice rotation from NRG. They're at least going to get A-site control, but you do have Poise here on Heaven in Raptors. He's going to be able to get the first kill in this engagement, nearly the second. Dap's put low, and he'll be finished off by Poise. It's all over but Android's attempt at this point. We'll see if he can ace it with 19 seconds to go, but I don't see it as especially likely. Flanking Leaf, he will get one. Almost a second on the Poise. There it is, the double headshot, but Mitch will shut him down. C9 Blue confidently take round number 1.
Honestly, a valiant effort with the Ghost, but like I've said before, even if you're trading off, it doesn't matter if you trade out 1 or 2, or you're able to engage in a 1vx. The problem was that C9 had you in a corner. It was a 1v5. Your position was known. You have to go through with utility if they don't all peek you. And at some point, C9 are going to wait to see if you can possibly get the objective down. And if not, then you're going to have to try to find them before that timer elapses. And in this case, C9 just sent one player out, and that was it.
I have to commend... Oh, hang on. Speaking of the aggression from C9, they're pushing out of A. They don't care where they're pushing out as long as they can do it together as a team, and it works out once again. I was going to say I have to commend the aggression from C9 in round number 1. They're doing it again in round number 2, and it keeps working until Tex finally gets a kill. Down goes Leaf, and that might be a Spectre pickup.
Doesn't know if he has anybody from above. Poise has started off this game on a much stronger note than we saw on the first map. And I mean, we didn't have a ton of time to discuss Poise's potential impact, but when you're playing on this duelist and you're usually one of the first players into the site, you're going to need to hit your shots or at least try to make space for your team. Tex, on the other hand, well, he doesn't necessarily need to make space at the moment, but he's punishing every single member of Cloud9 that steps in his line of sight. Oh, wait, he'll back up. Small backpedal and a heal because he is quite low. NRG are going to play this one quite slowly as they continue to back up, trying to bait C9 into a trap, potentially.
I like the calm here from NRG. They're using the time, the clock to their advantage to try and bait out a rotation from C9 Blue. It's not working out, though, because Zeta is by mid, and he's calling that rotation. He knows if it's going to be happening, and C9 have done a great job of being aware of their positioning so far, so they're not going to overstep. Wait, no, I spoke too soon. A little bit of an overstep, and too much of a rotation. Poise is still back sight, though. He can do some work here.
And he's going to do just that. He peeks out, gets traded out by Tex. Third kill on the round, can't net a fourth. Zeta ultimately finishes that one off. And after a win on the pistols, they carry that through to the second round, Spectres in hand. And Cloud9 Blue are up 2-0.
Yeah, but at the same time, so much economy damage done there by NRG. So that was not a terrible round for them. They're going to be able to bring nearly a full buy. There is, of course, going to be a Bulldog here for EU. That's not terrible, though. He can make some work happen with that for sure. Now, the aggression from Cloud9, we've seen it 2 rounds in a row. They push out B first round, push out A second round. Question is, are they going to keep on doing that? I seriously doubt it now that we're on the buy round.
Well, we'll find out, as it looks like the drone will scout ahead. NRG's focus is over towards the B site, and, well, they've got a Viper to cut off line of sight when needed, and the Sage wall for what has become a very default plant for a lot of teams here. And the Sage is set up and prepped just for that exact moment. It's a bit of a different wall than we've seen before. This one stretching towards yellow instead of parallel to it. Mitch will gun down Psalm. Android, amidst the leer, he finds a single kill onto Floppy, looking above, but he gets swung on and punished for it. It's Tex now in a 1v4 as Cloud9 Blue continue this advantage, and Tex is not able to bring anybody down with him before Zeta jumps into his gaze. That's 3 in a row for Cloud9.
Wow. A lot of trips there for NRG. The wall went up before the spike was in a position to be planted because it was on the wrong person. Android had it for a while when he shouldn't have. Which means now Tex, I mean, like, look at them. Just not able to do anything there. There was no ability to plant as the wall was destroyed by C9 Blue too quickly in that take, and there was just too much hesitation on NRG. Also, the toxic screen from NRG was great and all by B. It cut off the rotation, except for it didn't. Normally, when you see a toxic screen, there's another Viper to, throw down a counter toxic screen, and then you've got a retake, but everyone's blind. This time, that round, C9 Blue, they didn't need that toxic screen. They just took out, they walked out guns blazing and managed to win all their gunfights. And I mean, I think that's been part of the story here for C9 through this map.
Well, you'd mentioned the economy not getting much better for NRG, and well, this round is a rough one too, as they've only found a single kill. Now, mind you, it is on to Leaf. He has his ultimate available. Floppy dropped by EU. Boy's able to grab him from the back, and down goes EU, leaving Tex in a clutch or kick situation. My oh my. How he's been able to play with that Sheriff so far over these 2 maps has been quite impressive, and he can still do some more damage. He gets spotted though, so the jig is up. And he's got the Vandal in the hands, but not able to do anything past that. Mitch, deep in the sight, looks upwards off to where Tex had been spotted, and it's yet another round for Cloud9 Blue.
That could have been a much better opportunity by mid, but the boombot from Leaf was perfectly placed to actually get his own refrag. So I think that C9 Blue actually left a couple gaps there in their defense. They were aware of the situation, but that could have gone much worse for them. They ultimately won the round, so, I mean, what can you really critique? The entry from NRG, a little bit slow to follow itself up as well. Now we're going to see an operator, I believe. Yep, brought out by Mitch on the Sage, holding on B long. Now he's got to destroy the Owl drone. He does have Floppy to support him on the push, so he's not too vulnerable here.
He pulls this one back out. Floppy in a position that you are not going to be unaware of, but nobody bothers to check. Tex in particular tends to be the casualty, and there you go. Some scouting done as the dog is shot forward from Sky, but nothing really else that Psalm can do. C9 have them lined up in their sights, and this push has all but faltered. EU, if you are unsuccessful, your team goes down 0-5. You're going to have to start now. You've been able to punish Floppy, do some more damage to their economy, take away their abilities.
Yeah.
50 seconds,
we'll see what EU can do with 50 seconds. What I want to highlight through that round was the way that Floppy and Mitch played that. You could tell that, I mean, it's an Omen and a Sage. They could have thrown down walls. They could have thrown down smokes, but they did neither of those things. No economy damage done by EU, by the way. They did neither of those things. Floppy and Mitch just kept their guns up. Now, we did see a slow from Mitch, of course, but they were maintaining their lines of sight and allowing for plays like this one you're about to see from Floppy to happen. Beautiful stuff. Nice transfer there. And I think that aggression from C9 and that awareness that, hey, we could cut off the angles, we could stop them with the smoke, but we don't have to, or a wall, is beautiful. I love the awareness. And on top of that, after C9 got those early picks, yeah, they lost Floppy, but after that were like, yeah, just fall back. We don't have to take this aggressive play on long.
I didn't see any real clear work there from NRG as well when they pushed towards B. They didn't check to the left, they didn't check to the right. I don't think they had much intel outside of the fact that there was an op playing over by yellow. So other than that, you are pushing in at your peril. And yet again, NRG finds themselves in a rough spot. They're not unarmed, but unless you can put these sheriffs to good use, you are going to be at a very big disadvantage. Poise starts things off with the very first kill, but he's removed from play by Som, and finally NRG gets a lead when it comes to the kill feed. It's only for a moment though, as Floppy in the midst of the all cleans up 3 kills for him, and Cloud9 Blue look indomitable.
GK be damned for Floppy as he is just able to land his shots. Love it. C9 Blue, I think the word you used was indomitable. I think we could say that that's fair right now. Might see things change as the halves swap, but NRG definitely need to get a few more rounds here if they want to have any hope of taking this map in this series. Now, the rotations for C9 Blue have been a little bit on the slower side, but at the same time, it's not really mattering because your initial hold is doing so much work. I wonder if we're going to see any good fake-out play from NRG. This is the first round we're seeing them vie for mid-control, and it'll actually work as Mitch goes down on the other side of Tube. So that's a really good entry for NRG, and now they have, or feels like the first time, a decided advantage early in a round.
Hard to tell if that was just a blind pre-fire through the poison cloud, but Daps, who'd used his abilities to try and give his team some cover and some support as they push towards B, will find his end. 4v4 as this is a quiet take from NRG, and they'll creep up like church mice. Out goes the Sky Seekers as a recon dart comes down to try and give some information. Ice wall blocking C9 from being able to punish Tex, who's going for the spike, and it gets down quite successfully before Spray from Poise nets the kill they need. Now posted up over by yellow and completely isolated. Android, Paranoia, he can't see anything. So out goes the boom bot. Leaf needs to be quick, but he gets distracted as the bot blows up in his face. Android now, he's unshakable, looking for all 5 kills in the round. Out go the paint shells, and he gets swung on. Floppy denies the ace, and should have plenty of time as well for this spike. The best effort from NRG ultimately comes up short, and they have yet to find a single round on their map, Icebox.
Oh, that went so bad for NRG for so many reasons. Number one, Daps was the first person to die. That means your toxic screen is not going up. On a B take, that makes it so difficult to get the spike down. Now, eventually NRG did get the spike down thanks to the wall from Sage. However, despite getting that spike down, you've also put your Sage as the one to plant it. And Hex had res. He probably was not the right decision there as the planter. Playing post-plant with that res would have helped out quite a lot, probably. EU didn't manage to get his Hunter's Fury off. So we were missing a lot of potential in that round for NRG. And being that they are 7-0 right now, 6-0 in the previous round, that was the round that was so pivotal. They needed to take it. Luckily, because they're losing so much, they are able to mostly buy this round.
Well, they're going to need some guns to hit because one of those 3 Vandals is now removed from action. Make that 2. The last one in the hands of Android. He's going to need to do some serious damage. They find 2 kills, though. It's with utility, but it doesn't really matter what you manage to do it with. So back to a 3v3. This has been a quick round. NRG are trying to hasten the pace, I believe, because they want to catch C9 flat-footed. Eventually, at some point, NRG is going to win a round. The question just becomes when.
Well, it might be now, but it's going to remain an A contact here. No rotation. No screen again, but Mitch will land the operator shot lead off on this engagement. Spectre in hand for EU, and he's looking for the fight. He'll find it. Mitch goes down. Now it's all Leaf, and he's low already. The shock dart. Oh boy, insult to injury there. EU plays that masterfully. And finally, NRG will find the board.
Caster's Curse comes through, Michael. As I said, they have to win a round eventually. When is it? The answer was that round. So I think the key to success is just constantly judging NRG and doubting them. And the moment that I say any words of doubt, then they are able to prove me wrong. Impressive
Parker,
round, by the
talk
way,
about
from EU. Those shock darts claimed 2 of his 3 kills on the round, showing that even though he was armed with an SMG, with the Spectre, it didn't necessarily impact the round, that he wasn't as well kitted in terms of firepower as the rest of his team.
Well, this is another aggressive push-up from C9 Blue, and it's not going to work out great as Leaf, the first casualty, is not responded directly to. And until it is, look at that, Poison Zeta coming alive. Now, Som does have the operator, and he is playing pretty aggressively, so he can make some work happen. On top of Pipes, Android challenging over the wall, finally getting that wall broken, and Mitch will go down through it, in fact. 2 versus 2 in this situation. Floppy does have the ult if this is a rotation, but I don't think NRG is likely to rotate.
Som gives Android a little bit of his life back, and more power to him as he can shrug off a couple more bullets than previously. They were able to clear out that A site quite effectively. Android in particular able to quarterback the push, watching the ice wall and removing the bits of utilities and abilities that were brought out from Cloud9 Blue. The C9 have now pushed back. They have ceded control of the site. Omen is going to watch the flank potentially from mid, or at least a split push from mid, as the spike is within the grasps of NRG. The worry for them is that they have no idea if Cloud9 Blue know that that spike is down. What a nice peek from Som, hitting Poison, punishing him for it. Floppy is at full HP. He's still got 2 smokes available as well. And Som looks the wrong way, but Android knows where he is. It doesn't matter. Floppy the clutch. And it's another round for Cloud9 Blue.
Floppy has just not been missing his shots. And I was going to talk about this earlier, Parker, because you said that it's how we correct NRG's course. Daps and Som are having a really rough match so far. And I mean, now that maybe we talk about it, maybe that'll change. But right now, C9 Blue, with that advantage in terms of potential, and Floppy and Poise right now landing their shots so consistently, it's been really tough for NRG to make anything happen. Another thing, NRG has been consistently going for A and not rotating off of it when they have the opportunity, because the spike keeps getting dropped, and it keeps getting dropped in positions that are difficult to retrieve it in, which wastes so much time. They need to figure out who's carrying that spike so they can be better in those situations.
Oh, there go the Sky Seekers yet again for NRG, hoping to give them intel as Android just bops his way in. And he's going to continue to push up, taking as much ground away from C9 as possible. He lets the Reyna go past because he knows that Mitch is the target he wants the most, but Leaf is able to outduel him as the paint shells soar over his shoulder. Spike is planted successfully, so now Cloud9 Blue have the timer working against them. Tex sees that Som has been blinded by that paranoia and will now try to slow down any member from C9 who pushes in that direction. Will he be able to stop Leaf? That's the question, because the showstopper's out and a blind fire will go in, but it does not connect the way it necessarily wants. It does actually. A bit of a delayed reaction taking out EU. Daps will need to pick up the Vandal and make as much damage as they can, but the spike gets defused at the last second. And even though he gets a pick onto Floppy, it doesn't matter because the round goes to C9 Blue.
I mean, that's great that there's a Vandal salvage there for NRG. It's something. But once again, Leaf is the real player I want to highlight through that round. I thought since the Toxic Screen nullified the paranoia that we would see a really, I guess, distant retake for C9. They weren't able to engage the way they wanted to initially. But because of Leaf's aggression, using those blast packs to jump to yellow, and great use of the showstopper as well, and just winning his fights, they were able to finally retake yellow and then get control of that engagement. Great play from C9 Blue.
And there's a showstopper out from Android trying to make space, but it misses. Oh no, and it's Leaf able to drive down on him. Som gets a kill onto Poised. Is it Zeta technically credited with the kill onto Android? 3v3, site control for NRG, but the spike has been surrendered at this point. There will be no plant for them. Som's able to flush out Leaf, but Mitch has his teammates back, leaving Daps far afield, not necessarily as close to the action as he can be. He takes down Leaf. That's a hot hand for Cloud9 that is no longer on the board. Keep in mind, Daps has the spike, so he will potentially fake a push over towards the B site, and some of his utility will go off as well.
Love the use of the Viper's screen there. That's going to allow him to plant. He might have used it a little bit too early, though. He does have Viper's Pit, luckily, and it's going to go off. That'll prompt C9 Blue to rotate. They were expecting Daps to stay because NRG consistently does stay by A, but this time he had the spike in hand, so Daps made the play he thought best.
Zeta and Mitch are going to have to play this post extraordinarily carefully because Daps has the intel, whereas they don't. Zeta doesn't have anything left. Mitch is still capable, by the way, of a heal. So if any action does occur, they'll need to do something with it. DK starting to chunk away at the HP, and I think Daps knows this. As a blind fire goes in, he takes out the Sage, and they manage to get it as Daps' spray connects with both Mitch as well as Zeta. I like the craftiness from him to grab that spike and get out of there as quickly as he could. He picks off Leaf and immediately rotates, using, as you said, using that toxic screen to conceal where the plant was going down and then perfectly timing the Viper's pit.
Now, it's been daps and techs, daps and techs, daps and techs for VCT Stage 2 Challengers Week 2 for the most part. But today, at least right now, it's mostly daps. Question is, will techs be able to wake up as we go into the second half? Because that might make all the difference. So far, C9 are getting all the rounds they need and then some. And look at this Hunter's Fury. It'll get 2 kills onto NRG. Now, Tex does have the res, so he's going to be able to bring Som back into the battle. But that is still effective use of the utility from C9 Blue and Zeta in particular.
They get the 1 pick, immediately retreat. And Android has been the standout performer on these attacking pushes. The way that he is able to very quickly get in. But oh no, Daps will catch Zeta from the back. Trigger discipline, nobody spots him. His position now known as he'll try to get back to Kitchen. But could he provoke a fight to Leaf? He does. Leaf hasn't been missing his shots so far today. And that's unlucky for Daps. His NRG's focus from the A site has now moved over towards B. And they are going to be quick about it. Trying to gain intel. And the spike in the hands of Som. Going for the plant. Mitch is lined up watching yellow. Do they know exactly where this op is? Well, down goes Som. Floppy traded out. Leaf right now is just on an absolute tear. EU will have his owl drone to gain intel, and he knows that he's about to get overrun. Out goes one dart, flicks onto Leaf, but no. Poise and the remainder of Cloud9 Blue, which in this instance is Mitch getting the spike, will take the round. And that is the first half, 10-2 for Cloud9 Blue.
Well, it's pretty dominant there. Cloud9 Blue looking fantastic on the defense. Their rotations were great. That last round, Floppy was the one to save it. Now, we didn't actually see his effect over saving the round, but Cloud9 Blue were already rotating to A, expecting it to be a hard A push, and Floppy heard the aggression in B main and called the rotation back to B for his team. So really important call there. And that's a big part of why C9 were in a good position to retake in the close plant. What a good half for C9. And I wonder, I mean, it's not inconceivable that NRG starts the comeback here, especially on Icebox. It could be a somewhat rigid map overall, but it's not going to be an easy journey.
I will say that if you look at yesterday's matchup, it did end up going into a late game. It required 23 rounds, but I mean, NRG started on attack and Immortals was very strong on that defense. NRG took 4 rounds on attack. Now, obviously, that is trailing the pace, or at least today, they are trailing the pace that they set yesterday. So Cloud9 Blue comes out a little bit ahead. But these pistol rounds can be so pivotal. If Cloud9 Blue is able to win the pistol round, they are only 2 away from shutting this down entirely. And with the way that the economy system works, that could be the game. Now, Cloud9 Blue have an advantage, but Som takes it away before Zeta grabs it right back. So Daps in a 1v2. They know how crucial this is. Zeta getting the spike down. There it goes. Daps is at full HP, light armor. He'll continue to come back. He's still got some utility, by the way. So he can use those at his discretion. He's up in heaven, about to hit Catwalk. He sees Poise. Poise turns around and pivots, and a shot from Poise lands. That's unlucky for Daps. A couple misses is all it takes. And the pistol round goes to C9 yet again.
I mean, no pressure on Daps there, to be honest. The likelihood of him winning that is already still pretty low, so it's not too stressful, though that is the difference maker. As you talked about, Parker, C9 Blue now at 11 rounds. They are 1 away from match point. This could be pretty over pretty quick. There are going to be, of course, as a result, 2 marshals being brought on NRG's side, as well as 3 sheriffs. They don't really have a choice. If they let this go too much further, then they'll be too far against the wall and won't have any real chance of making the comeback happen. So it's a committed push on a site for C9, and Android leads things off with a great shot onto Poise. That is a great player to eliminate early on.
Poise has obviously been feeling it after that sluggish start that he had on the very first map. Daps losing his battle with the Sheriff in hand to Zeta, and Marshall for Android still there, ready to greet anybody who pushes the A site. Good news for NRG is that I would argue that Tex has probably been the most efficient today on the Magnum. So having that access to better firearms is great, but Tex hasn't needed it just yet with how much damage he's been able to do from the Sheriff. Mitch will fall off as the spike looked to be getting planted, but for now, no. Waiting very patiently. There's one from Mitch. Spectre taking out Eve. And now Mitch looking for another up on the ice wall, but no, it's NRG to take control of the kill feed, though yet they still trail. They've traded out, but it leaves Psalm with just 20 HP to go up against the last two members of C9 Blue, and additionally, the spike as well, which starts to get planted, doesn't quite make it. It's in Leaf's hands. A single shot will kill both of these players, especially if Psalm is capable of hitting it. Well, he's got that Marshall, looking longingly for the Sova of Zeta to peek out. A game of cat and mouse, good patience. Onto the rope he goes. He sees the foot for a second, nails it. His position, though, known. Leaf just needs to wait. And Leaf is going to look one way and shut the door on a potential NRG comeback. It's match point for Cloud9 Blue already, Michael.
Beautiful play there from Leaf in the post plant. I really like that what we saw from NRG in terms of trying to stop the spike plant. You gotta love their commitment there. They actually managed it, but unfortunately Cloud9 Blue read that really well. Every time NRG would come in for a push to try and stop the plant, Cloud9 would punish, and the trades inevitably went the way of Cloud9 because of their awareness and their superior firearms. And you were right, Tex is a player that's been landing his shots with the Sheriffs throughout the day, but unfortunately he only managed to get one in that engagement. So yeah, it happens. But now with a limited buy, NRG are trying their best to force this round out, and Android's aggression at least will get the lead-off kill onto Poise, but C9 lost Poise last round and they still managed to win. They might be able to do that again here.
And there you go. Down goes Tex. That is damaging. Leaf has been so good so far today. He's blind. He'll drop, and down goes the Seeker in front of his eyes. Blinded immediately again. He's in the epicenter as NRG's numbers are getting whittled away. Spike planted now, so NRG will need to panic and scramble to try and retake the site that they've just lost control of, knowing full well that the lower bracket awaits them if they are unsuccessful. Around this ice wall, there's a small opening, and C9 knows it and will use it to their advantage, with Mitch taking two members down. That's all he's going to be able to get. Oh, because it's a big play from EU to pummel C9. Doesn't matter.